Yeah, man, it's the 25th of July, 2023, and I want to talk about YouTube uploads and gang stalking, device and account administration. And what happened is the same thing that's happened to me so many times is I'm uploading a video, and after the video was uploading for about 2 hours, it was finally almost done. And it really should be done in 5 minutes if it's working properly. But after a couple hours, I knew that these gang stalkers are administrating my services and administrating. Basically, they're doing it through Google. In this particular case, they're doing it through Google, and I'm going to talk more about that. But what they do is they stall my uploads, and so I went ahead and took a screenshot, and then like it was basically, I think it said like 1 minute left, and then like 30 minutes later, I look at the device again, and it's my other phone, and I look at it again, and it says 1 hour left, right? And it hasn't moved at all, and they put it on super slow. The service is full. You can actually look on the remote neural monitoring channel, and you can see the two screenshots in the community section I just posted a few minutes ago, and you can see the time. It's like one I think it's like 140 something, and then like 211, and it goes from 1 minute to 1 hour after all those minutes pass. So this is something that I've dealt with a lot of the time, and the thing that's significant about it is if I leave it if I leave it on that screen, the upload screen, and leave the device on looking at that screen, it will load slowly. But as soon as I go out of that screen or turn the screen off, then it completely stalls out. And this is something that they've actually written a script for. So it's like you could call it an application or a program or a function, whatever you want to call it. But this is something where gang stalkers have used my Google account that's associated with that particular YouTube account, and they've actually got a script running that makes it exactly that way. And if you understand kind of how coding works at all, then you could kind of piece together like how they must have done this. And I've talked about this in the past. Whenever if I'm not looking at it, then it won't upload. And I mean, if they can stall it out, they've stalled my stuff out for days in the past. They don't do it quite as bad these days because I'll start making a big fuss about it. 2 or 3 channels and pages everywhere, and I'm posting screenshots and saying, look, it says 50 hours left, and my signal's perfect. 5G, all bars, and all this kind of stuff. So, but this is something that I know that they have some sort of script running in some sort of Google console or something like that. And with that said, that means that there's evidence of these things lingering in some logs or something somewhere. And being as that I'm going to be studying this stuff for the long term, that's not going to be good for gang stalkers, but they can't help it. They want to administrate. So earlier they were attacking my heart really bad, and I did a long video talking about a little bit. I talked about that, and then I just went on about how I'm going about trying to solve my problem, since nobody's going to do anything for us. I don't believe that anytime soon that governments or anybody is going to do anything for targeted people that are targeted with remote neural monitoring. And I know that gang stalkers, everything that they do is online. I know they're accessing neural monitoring online, and I know that they hack and control our services, our devices. They administrate all of our stuff. It's basically a theft of services and account fraud and whatever else you could pile in on that. So they're stealing our services. They're using our services and our devices for their own purposes, their own benefits, to run their EMF broadcast, live streams, and host all kind of stuff for remote neural monitoring. And it's like so deep in the background somewhere hidden that, it's like we don't even, we know it's going on. Our stuff's not working right, but we're not master hackers or graduated programmers with master's degree or nothing like that. So maybe that's what we have to be. Okay, that's definitely what I'm trying to be. So, but that's theft. That's theft, and then account fraud. Like, I know that they're going into my Google account, into some console somewhere, and they have some script running that says, "Hey, unless this app is open in his face, if this, then here's the upload speed, this many kilobytes or whatever, and if not, then zero, or just stall it all day." And um, when I first started doing this in like 2015 and 16, sometimes I would have like 7 or 8 videos lined up, for like 2 or 3 days, and they would just all be stalled out and nothing would ever load. And I was on, at this point, I was on home Wi-Fi, and I used to post a lot of videos about how they would completely just take over my Wi-Fi service, and, how to get into all of that stuff. And um, as I get more advanced with this computer science stuff, I'm going to be putting out a lot of videos that will help you guys. But I would also recommend that you do the same thing. Start going to school for computer science and cybersecurity, or network engineering, or even database or web development, or any of that, mobile app development. All of those things are relevant to what gang stalkers are doing, and it's going to help us, and nobody's going to help us, so we have to help ourselves. But the things that they do, sometimes it's baffling me. Like, how are you so dumb? Like, okay, you're going to stall my video upload for some hours. I'm going to make a big fuss about it. Now you're the subject of my other videos on other channels. You got posts showing all these screenshots that you're stalling my 1 minute till upload for more hours, and it's ridiculous. And so now here I am talking about all this stuff online. But on top of that, on top of being the motivation for my content to keep rolling out, on top of that, there's no possible way that they're not leaving a trail of evidence behind them to do that kind of stuff. And Google is a huge issue for targeted people. I have a video, okay, where this girl who was trying to become a gang stalker and started associating with some of the group of gang stalkers that I was dealing with, and actually went on to on a Windows computer on a PowerShell, videoed herself doing it, and yeah, and I acquired the video. So went on to the PowerShell and started doing all of this different stuff. Okay, one of them was accessing my device remotely, and it was through my Google account, one of my Google accounts. And there's nowhere on my settings that says this person has remote access to your device through this Google account or anything else. And it's and these gang stalkers showed her how to do that. Whether they gave her neural monitoring or not, I'm not sure. This was somebody that was actually supposedly targeted at one point, and I believe that. But once they started associating with a lot of these known gang stalkers, people that I've talked about on my channel, people that I know for a fact are gang stalkers, and she was hanging out with several of them, like more than one, more than two, a whole bunch of them. I can think of at least like 4 or 5 right off the top of my head. But and these are people that I know for a fact are gang stalkers. And then she had this thing where she was accessing through the PowerShell on a Windows laptop, accessing my phone through my Google account, and videoed herself doing it. And I've actually got that video somewhere. But like everything else, it's very difficult for us to maintain evidence type of files and stuff. And I have stuff like that, and it's like I'm scared to even pull it up on a device. It's like on external stuff, and if I pull it up anywhere, then it's at risk of disappearing. Just like, I've talked about so many little things like that. And I'm not lying about any of it. I really have all of that. Also got a video of someone going on to the PowerShell and opening up this application that would it would run this like colorful grain over a picture, and you could stop it and stop it, and you could start to see like the broadcast stuff. And when I say the broadcast stuff, in this case I'm talking about the letters and the basically the advertisements saying, here's the web page, or here's the FTP address to come access this stuff, and there's a lot of different ways to deal with like gang stalking and broadcast stuff, and a lot of it's hidden in plain sight, but they're all over the devices and the services that we pay for that are our property. These are our accounts and our assets, our intellectual property. It's really overboard, but companies like Google are a big part, and Meta, okay, and I would go so far as to say Apple and Microsoft as well, for sure. But I've had a lot of problems with all of those, and all of those are woven in with gang stalking and the way that these gang stalkers operate. But I really believe that if we start to learn enough about programming and network securities or network protocols and what like if you were a Wireshark master and you understood networks like on a deep level, like a 10-year veteran, okay, you would not be gang stalked. You would be able to figure out what's going on with your devices. Same with programming or any of it. It all goes together. Okay, so when you're talking about like databases and mobile app development and web development and programming and network protocol stuff and cybersecurity, it's all one thing, computer science. And if you start to learn enough about that, even before you completely understand all of this stuff, you start to be able to put together like how they're doing this or how they're doing that, and it makes sense, and you start to get some direction. But this whole thing with like stalling my uploads, it's been a problem for many years now, going on a decade. I mean, before that I wasn't uploading videos, but they were in my devices. I was catching them before I knew what gang stalking was or knew that I was dealing with gang stalkers. I just knew I was hacked. And this was back in 2013. And throughout 13 and 14 was like, that was when things were getting weird, when all of my stuff was becoming hacked, and I started noticing like people following me or like weird things happening, and it was like 15 when they started with the full-blown broadcast telepathy, talking out loud, strange noises and sound effects coming out of everything. Everything's completely hacked. And then I started doing videos and recordings of like radio type recordings and all of that stuff way back then. But it's just something to think about, something to know about. Like if they're doing stuff on your devices, you need to fully try to understand all of that stuff, because it doesn't help to dig around when you don't really know what you're looking for. And even if you find something, you don't even know what you're looking at. So I would recommend filling out the FAFSA and getting a federal aid grant, and like the Pell Grant or something. They're going to pay for you to go to local community college for free and go and take one of the computer science degrees. Start with like an associate's degree and do it. You can do most of it online. You can be targeted, work full-time, and do it, because I'm doing it. So if I can do it, and then other people can do it, and I'm doing well with it. So it's going to be a process, but it's not going to be good for these gang stalkers. This is the pathway that we have to take so we can understand what's going on. Because remote neural monitoring, they can do it to us, and whether we throw all our devices away, go out to the middle of the ocean with nothing else anywhere, it doesn't matter. They can still do remote neural monitoring, but everything that they do is really on the internet. They can access neural monitoring. They're going on and neural monitoring and doing these connections and settings. It's all settings. They're not Dumbledores. They're not magicians or sorcerers. regardless of what phase you're in. You may still think that something like that, but everything that they do is technology. It's all online, and that's how they're accessing neural monitoring. That's how they're able to control different settings, how you have different people popping in and out of your channel. That's how people can follow you around. Street theater style, they're looking at your neural monitoring. They can tell where you're at and all this different stuff. So it's all online, and neural monitoring is online. So it's definitely the right pathway. But this whole thing with like stalling my uploads and doing little dumb stuff with my devices and all, it's just, they're just messing up. Really, they're just messing up worse and worse and worse. And they keep doing the same dumb stuff. But at this point, you know, I can expect it from them, and I can count on them to continue to do dumb stuff because they don't know anything else. It's just what they do. And like a lot of times they'll say, "This is what we do. This is just what we do," right? It's one of their little sayings. This is what we do. And they don't seem to get it. Like there's a time when you say, "Okay, this ain't going very well. Let me get out of here." And they don't. They just don't. They don't ever hit that point. And nobody's doing anything about it. And they can sit here and pour gas on the fire, indefinitely, and nothing's happening to them. But we're starting to understand a lot, and I know a lot how neural monitoring works. But the big thing is that we know a lot about how they're doing what they do, and we know that it's traceable and findable for regular people. So why they're still doing it, we don't know, but it's almost starting to be a thing where like we're thankful that they are, right? So we can continue to follow these breadcrumbs as we learn and become successful and financially prepared and prepared with our knowledge to be able to hold them accountable and do something about it. All right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.